It's Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time we have the Disney Store exclusive Star Wars The Elite Series C-3PO. So this is very exciting. This is kind of just almost a surprise release. I mean, we did see earlier that they, earlier in the week that they were going to be releasing these. I first saw it on Instagram and was very excited. They didn't make a big deal out of this. Typically they make a big deal when they release an Elite Series figure. This one kind of just came out of the blue, but it was still very cool, and I was really hoping that eventually we would get C-3PO and R2-D2, considering they were in the D23 exclusive pack, and so far, to date, they've released all the other figures from that pack, so it is great that they did end up getting out C-3PO and R2-D2. I do have R2. I debated reviewing them together, but I decided just to split it up, so his review will be coming if it isn't already posted. So let's go over C-3PO. So C-3PO was the one that I was most looking forward to out of the two, and it turned out that I liked R2-D2 better, I have to say. And that's not necessarily because C-3PO is bad. I think C-3PO became more of a disappointment, and then R2-D2 went over my expectations, so it's a little bit of combination between C-3PO not being great and R2-D2 being better than I was thinking. Overall, the package looks really nice. Whoa. It did fall. I don't have a second version of the C-3PO. Usually I like to get two of all of the Elite Series figures, but I didn't do it for C-3PO and R2-D2. I might end up doing it later, but for now I do just have the one figure. I really do like the packaging. Of course, I'm a big fan of the Elite Series package. Going over the actual figure here, the sculpt is quite nice. I do like it a lot. I mean, it is, of course, C-3PO. You've got some his torso area with all the wires. It's really interesting how they kind of did it. They used a combination of paint work and sculpting to actually give you that wired effect. There are a few of the wires sculpted. However, they're not really necessarily painted. It's like they sculpted a few wires and then they just did the wire painting wherever they wanted, which is a really interesting look. It does make it look a bit dynamic because they did sculpt a bit of it in. Some of the wire work is a little sloppy, like that one white wire. Where's it going? It kind of looks strange there, but it does actually look cool, and there's enough mixture of colors that it does actually look pretty natural. On the back, because there's so much extra space, it doesn't look good. I'm not a big fan of that, I must say. Of course, yes, the Elite Series does have the screw holes. That doesn't bother me. They're just I never look at the figures from the back, so it really just doesn't bother me in the slightest, or at least it hasn't yet. But unfortunately, C-3PO doesn't have a cape, or obviously doesn't have anything to actually cover those up like some of the other figures. But the sculpt work is very nice. Unfortunately, they are missing that little piston area that kind of connects his bicep to his lower arm. Really wish that they did include that. My only guess as to why they didn't was because I guess it would mean that you wouldn't have articulation at the elbow. But I think that you have such limited articulation at the elbow anyway that they might as well have just done it. And overall, the sculpting is pretty decent. The coloring is really nice. I love the gold. It looks excellent, especially on the head and torso and everything. It looks really nice, very shiny, very metallic, very cool. The only thing that's kind of weird is that on the torso, the crotch area, and the head, it's a nice metallic gold. And then on the legs, and especially the arms, they did kind of wash in, I guess, this kind of reddish look, which gives it slight rusted look. I'm not quite sure what they were actually going for. I think that they were just trying to make the paint a little bit more dynamic, but it looks a little strange. Now, it's so subtle that it's not like a big deal or anything, but I would have preferred if they just kept it the same way that they did the torso. I think that would have looked nicer. They did go with the red arm. Both C-3PO and R2-D2 have something about them that makes them different from the D23 exclusive figures. This being, of course, his Force Awakens look with the red arm. The red arm looks fine. The red paint doesn't go up to the shoulder, though. It does. There is some gold there where it should be red, which I don't like, but that is pretty minor. But the actual red is nice. It's a lighter red with a black wash into it, which gives it a more dynamic look, which is quite good. Articulation is less than standard from Elite Series, which is really disappointing because Elite Series, doesn't have the best articulation anyway. It has a fine amount of articulation, but when you start cutting from the Elite Series articulation, that's when you really get to the bare minimum, unfortunately. He does have a ball-jointed neck, extremely strong, extremely stiff neck joint there, though. You can look up and down as you can see, quite a bit, and then side to side, of course. He's got ball hinge shoulders, but the hinge barely moves at all, and the swivel does go complete. He has a hinge elbow, which really just does like this. It's very small, even though there's room for the hinge. The way that the bicep is sculpted at the bottom makes it so he can't fully extend his arms. Of course, he never really fully extends his arms anyway, but it means that there's like barely any hinge at the elbow, which is definitely a shame. My biggest complaint is that there's no waist articulation. I understand that it might have been hard to put a waist swivel there, but right up here, that should have been a perfect place for a swivel. Unfortunately, there is not a single swivel in there, that's the part that's really been cut from the Elite Series. The Elite Series always has a waist swivel, so this figure doesn't, which is a big disappointment. Ball jointed hips, a little hindered. They only go up about this far. They can go out a fair amount. You know, one thing that's good about this being the figure that has cut articulation is that he's not a very dynamic character, so you don't need all of this articulation. But still, you know, I would have liked a better bend there, and of course a swivel there. The knees hinge quite nicely, and then the ankles are hinge swivel. So overall, it is a nice figure. However, the limited articulation is definitely very disappointing. Some of the odd choices in the coloring are a little off, but he still looks like a great figure. Now, I've seen a lot of people complain that that R2-D2 is too big and out of scale from C-3PO, but that's actually not the case. R2-D2 is in scale. It's C-3PO that's not in scale, which is definitely disappointing. Comparing him to Boba Fett, as you can see, he's much smaller than he should be. He should be just about as tall as Boba Fett. Why not? He's basically as tall as Rey, and Rey is a shorter figure. So I would have definitely liked to see him be taller, and he definitely should be. If he was tall as tall as Boba Fett, I think that he'd be in perfect scale with with R2-D2. So it isn't R2-D2 that is the one that's out of scale. If you've heard that, it's actually C-3PO. All right, and then a quick shot of the droids, because I think that they look really nice. And of course, with C-3PO being in his The Force Awakens style there with the red arm, does look nice with BB-8. Very cool. There we go, all the droids together. They do look quite nice, and I think that they do make for a really good set. So, you know, the R2-D2 is a fantastic figure, and the C-3PO, unfortunately, is a bit disappointing. I think that if they came in a pack together, I could completely forgive the cuts to the articulation, things like that, and I'd be quite happy with it. But considering they do come in two separate sets, it is very disappointing, and, you know, it makes you wonder if $25 for these two is worth it, because they're basically not as good as a regular figure. However, they're not half of a figure, so it would, you know, I think that if they put them in a 2-pack, they'd be giving you more than you deserve for $25. However, with splitting them up, they're giving you less than you deserve for $25. So, you know, they were in a bit of a pickle there, but it would have been nice if they did just decide to give the fans a, you know, a treat with actually giving them a set of both of them together. So I think that would have been the best thing to do. However, with them doing the separate packaging, then each figure isn't quite as good as the normal Elite Series figure. Also, as far as weight goes, C-3PO is fairly heavy. He's not that heavy though, because of his size. Obviously, he's smaller than the average Elite Series figure, which means that he isn't that heavy at all, which is disappointing. And it's actually R2 that is much heavier than C-3PO. So this figure, pretty disappointing, because I was really looking forward to it. It was R2 that I could care less about. I was really looking forward to C-3PO, so the C-3PO figure being disappointing was a shame, and normally I would be extremely disappointed. However, with the R2 figure being better than I expected, it kind of equaled me out, and I was just happy to have them both. So overall, decent figure. I wouldn't get it unless you're a big Elite Series fan and you want R2-D2 and C-3PO. If you're just kind of like starting to get into the Elite Series, I recommend some other figures first, but if you're a big C-3PO fan or you're a completist to the Elite Series, then this is a pretty decent addition to the collection.